Hi everybody, my name is Rebecca. Let's talk about makeup. So listen, first, this is number 2 in my makeup inventory series where I'm going through all of the products in my makeup collection and giving my thoughts on each one. Today we are doing foundations. Listen y'all, I'm struggling today. I am struggling and we have 32 foundations to get through. 32. Pray for me. Okay, so if you watched my last video, which was my makeup inventory numbers, I said I had 33. However, I have since taken one of the foundations, which is a powder foundation that I really only ever use as a powder, and I have recategorized it into the powder section. So I have lost one from my foundation and gained one in my powders. Nothing has changed. I still have the same amount of makeup in my inventory. I've just switched things around a little bit so it makes a little more sense. 32 foundations is still plenty. So let's get started. So these are in no particular order, but I'm going to start out with one of my absolute favorites, which is the Dior Backstage Foundation. I have this in the shade 2.5N. I really like this foundation. It's easy, it's lightweight, it looks nice on the skin, it never looks too heavy. It wears a good long time. It just always looks really pretty and it stays looking pretty throughout the day. I have no complaints about this one. It is pretty pricey. However, you get 1.6 fluid ounces. A typical amount for foundations normally, at least liquid foundations, is 1 fluid ounce. So did I say fluid ounce? Fluid ounce. 1 fluid ounce, and this is 1.6 fluid ounces. So you get a fair amount of product in here. So yes, it is spendy, I'm not gonna lie. Dior, it's a Dior product. It's pretty spendy, but I just really, really like this one. Next in my collection is a foundation that's pretty new to me. I think I got this in a Black Friday sale. This is the Catrice True Skin Hydrating Foundation. I got this because my skin was having a little bit of a fit because of the cold weather, and I was experiencing a lot of dryness and flakiness. I had to make some changes to my skincare routine, but I also picked this up, which I'd been kind of looking at it for a while. I've been looking at this one and their other one, which is their long wear full cover foundation, the one that's doesn't claim to be as hydrating. But because my skin was having such a fit at the beginning of winter, I picked this one up. It is in the shade 44 Cool Chai, which is just a little bit rosy for me, but listen, to be perfectly honest, none of the foundations in my collection match me exactly because I have a very unusual undertone. I am a light medium, slightly cool, muted olive undertone. That means I have a decent amount of gray in my skin. I also have some green in my skin. And right now, I have experienced a grand total of, I want to say, 2 foundations in my life that have matched me exactly, and neither of them are in production anymore. So I basically have to mix my foundation every day of my life, and I'm okay with it. It is what it is. So you're gonna see I have a range of undertones here. I have a range of depths here. I have some foundations that are too dark for me, but the undertone is pretty good, and I will just lighten them to match my skin tone. I have some that are on the lighter side that I will deepen in order to match my skin tone better, and most foundations I do add a blue mixer into them to give them a little bit of the gray and green that I need. If I had more green in my skin, if I was more olive, I would use a green mixer, but I'm only a little bit olive, so I find that the blue mixer is generally sufficient. It is a lot easier for me to mix a rosier foundation than it is to mix one that's really yellow. So, because if it's really yellow, then I end up having to add in a little bit of red, and that's just tricky. First of all, there are no red mixers that I can find. And so I end up having to use a little bit of liquid lipstick, and it's tricky because it's hard to get the amount right. It really, really is. Every day is an adventure, okay? So anyway, I really like this one. It's hydrating. It's really comfortable on the skin. It feels very nourishing. It doesn't last the longest on me because I do have an oilier T-zone. Even in the wintertime, I do get a little shiny through the T-zone, but I suffer with some dryness around my mouth and other areas in cold weather. During the summer, I tend to be a little bit more oily all over. So Natasha Denona Foundation X. This is another one that I really, really, really love. I am surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. It's definitely a more full coverage foundation. It's more of a natural matte finish. But it's just, I don't know exactly how to, it just, every time I put it on, I feel like I have a good makeup day. It just wears really pretty on me, and it always does, regardless of what I wear it with, what my skin prep is like. It just always looks good, and it looks good the whole day. It is, in my collection, probably my most reliable foundation that I know I can trust, whatever the circumstances are, whatever shape my skin's in, whatever products I'm using. This one will not do me dirty. I really enjoy this, and it breaks my heart that Natasha Denona has discontinued it. Most of the shades are sold out everywhere. There are a few remaining on her website. I'm really, really hoping that she comes back with this, that she reformulates it, repackages it, whatever, but that is just as good or even better. I'll take better too. If she can manage better, I'll take it. But I really, really love this foundation. Here is another one that I really, really love. This is the Soap & Glory Kick Butt Foundation. It's not butt, it's the other word. But this is in shade 04. This is my second bottle of this. I went through a bottle of this in the shade 06, which matched me pretty perfectly. It's one of the two foundations I've ever found in my life that matched me pretty much perfectly and required no mixing. This one is a little bit on the lighter side, but I can still make it work. And unfortunately, Soap & Glory has discontinued it, so I can't get my hands on it any longer. It's very sad. I was told that this was an exact formula dupe for the CYO Life-Proof Foundation, but I never got my hands on that one, so I couldn't tell you whether or not it was a dupe, because CYO is also no longer in production, so I'm out of luck. Next one. This is a BB cream. I'm going to show you both of them because I have two colors. I have 23 Natural Beige and 27 Sand Beige. This one is a really good match for my undertone. It's just a little bit too light. This one is the right depth, but it's a little warm. So I usually end up mixing the two of these. Listen, if you know this foundation, you know how old this is, because I don't think Purito makes the snail clearing anymore. I'm pretty sure they reformulated it into the Cica clearing BB cream. It's in a different packaging. It's been a while in my collection. One of the things I really do love doing with this BB cream, because it is a little bit on the hydrating side, so I do tend to get shiny through the T-zone when I wear this, but it's so lightweight. It has good coverage. It just feels good on the skin, and it's a very, very pretty finish. I like mixing this in with other foundations like the Natasha Denona or a few others I'm going to show you in a minute, that ones that are a little bit more full coverage, a little bit more on the matte side, just to loosen them up, give them a little bit more life, a little bit more luminance and more emollients to make them a little bit more hydrating. You know what I'm saying? And I especially like doing that in the wintertime because my skin can get a little bit more on the dry side, but I still like really good coverage during the winter. During the winter, I like to do more dramatic, smoky eye looks, and I kind of feel like that calls for a more perfected base. And so I, generally speaking, wear my more full coverage foundations during the winter time, but again, my skin's a little bit on the drier side. So this really helps me bring those foundations into a sweet spot for myself during the winter months. And they're lovely on their own as well. Okay, next one. This is the By Terry Nude Expert Duo Stick. This is an interesting one. It's a cream foundation stick. Half of it, I don't know if you can tell, but half of it is this peachy kind of illuminator situation, and half of it is the foundation itself. I bought this at TJ Maxx because I was just super curious about By Terry. I always wanted to try something from the brand. I actually really like this. I think I picked it up for, I don't know, $5, something crazy like that. But this is in the shade Vanilla Beige. It's a little bit light for me, and obviously the undertone is not quite right, but here's the thing is, it's hard to mix creams. I love a foundation stick, but it kind of defeats the purpose of how easy it is to draw it on your face when you have to go get your blue mixer and you gotta rub it between your fingers. And then that's generally how I wear this, is I will draw this on my face. I'll get some of my more less pigmented blue mixer. I have one that's kind of creamy and a little bit less pigmented. I'll get it on my fingers and then just sort of massage it into the skin that way and mix it while it's on my face. But again, a lot of the ease of a stick kind of is lost in that process. Speaking of sticks, this is the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. This was a gift from a friend, and I really like this. This is in shade 6, which is a bit light for me, but I can make it work. This is just a really, really pretty formulation. For a stick foundation, it is more on the matte side. I wouldn't even call it matte. I would call it a natural skin-like finish, really, is what it is. And like a lot of, there are a couple types of cream foundations, and this is the type that just vanishes into your skin. It just, you can put this on and it'll just disappear and look like you have nothing on. I mean, it's a little bit perfecting. The coverage isn't super high on this one, but it really is traceless. If you want foundation, and I was a little bit obsessed for a while there with foundation that you couldn't see that it was on my face, this absolutely fits the bill. If you just want a little something to give you a little bit of coverage, cover up some redness, but you don't want to have to then go in with blush and bronzer and, you know, other makeup in order to bring life back to your face, this is a great option for that. I don't find that it lasts super long on my skin, but while it lasts, it is very, very pretty. Here's the other kind of cream foundation. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm in medium FB 5.5. This is also a little bit on the light side for me, but listen, I really wanted to love this. I really, really did. I've got a good sized dent in there. I've given it a good go, but it looks, no matter what I do, it just looks a little bit dry on the skin and kind of sits oddly on my texture. I feel like cream foundations can either disappear into your face or they just sit on top and kind of accentuate the natural skin texture that you have. I'm not even talking about like congestion or flakiness or anything, but like actually the little tiny micro lines that everybody has in their skin. It just doesn't look good. No matter what I do, I cannot get this to look good. I love the idea of it, but the reality was not as amazing. So this one's not going to be in my collection for much longer, I don't think. Here I have a couple of foundations from Giorgio Armani. This one I bought retail. It was on sale, but I still paid a good bit for it. And this is the Power Fabric foundation, and I picked this up at TJ Maxx for significantly less. I bought the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. This is in the shade 3.5. I bought this because I was just so curious about it. I know that it has been a cult favorite for many, many, many years. A lot of makeup artists name this as one of the best foundations of all time. I needed to know what the fuss was about. And listen, I really do like this foundation. I can tell why it is so loved. Do I think it's worth the price? For me, I don't think it is. I don't think it is for me. And I think it's because it sits in this odd place where it's not light enough coverage for when I just want a really light base, and it's not high coverage enough for when I want a more perfected base. You think it's not in a sweet spot. It's just in this weird no man's land that I very rarely want to reach for. That said, the formulation is very, very sophisticated. It feels very high-end. It's incredibly comfortable. It's very weightless, and it does wear a decent amount of time. I see why it is such a big deal and why people love it so much. I just don't think it's worth it for me. I will use it, I will enjoy it, but it is not going to be a repurchase for me. The Power Fabric, the one that I got for significantly less, I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it, but it was TJ Maxx, so it was a decent discount. I have this in 4.5, which is a hair too deep for me. This one is just, it's everything the other one isn't. It's just too heavy on my skin. It wears a long time, and I do feel like it wears longer than the Luminous Silk does, but it just looks heavy on my skin. And I have other foundations that have just as much coverage, and this is the higher coverage sister to Luminous Silk. But I have foundations that have really, really good coverage and are really, really long wearing that don't make me look crusty and like heavy like this one does. I'm not a huge fan. I will use this up, but it is definitely one of the foundations that I need to mix a BB cream into in order to make it work on my skin. Keeping with the theme of expensive foundations in my collection, here's the Kojendo Aqua foundation. Oh my gosh, this one, I also got this one on sale. It was a pretty good sale, but it was still a lot of money. And it is in the shade 213. I picked this one up because I found a community of makeup users online who also have lighter olive undertones, and they recommended this as something that had a good undertone. And it does. The undertone for this is just about perfect. It's just too light for me. It's just a little too light. Also, it's a very, very watery, high, well, not watery. I wouldn't say that the formulation is a little watery. It's very hydrating. It's just not right for my skin type. I find that I get very, very shiny very quickly with this, and it doesn't last a long time on my skin. So this was an expensive mistake. I will use it up, but it's definitely a mixer. Actually, you know, this one's a little light, a little too hydrating. This one's a little dark, a little bit too dry and heavy. Might try, I don't think I've tried these two together, but that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna set these aside and give that a shot tomorrow. Next up, we have, this is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear foundation. This is in the shade 425. I think it's linen something something. I can't remember. The sticker is gone, but I know this is in 425. This is a beautiful foundation. Beautiful foundation. It was absolutely worth all the hype that it got when it first came out, and it's still a fantastic foundation. It looks really fresh on the skin. It's a great name for it. Really fresh on the skin. It's lightweight. It has decent coverage, but it doesn't look heavy. It's just a really lovely all-around foundation. It is also pretty long wearing as well. Yeah, I really like this one. Here's one I really need to finish up and get out of my collection. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream, and it is in the shade Light. This is the second tube of this that I've gone through, and I really need to finish this one up. Listen, I do this sometimes when I'm really, really enjoying a product and I notice that I'm getting toward the end of that product, I stop using it. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? Saving it for a rainy day? What? Saving it for when? Like saving for it to go in the garbage is what I'm saving it for. It's a psychological issue of mine, and I need to get over it and use the rest of this because I really do like it. I think it has the tendency to look a little bit heavy on the skin if you're not careful with how you apply it. I always preferred to put it on with my fingers. I know a lot of people are like, never. I will never put anything on with my fingers, but I do feel like this one would be a little bit heavy with a brush, but the coverage could sometimes be a little bit patchy with a damp sponge. So fingers were my favorite for this. Otherwise, this was a really good foundation. I really enjoyed it. It lasted a decent amount of time on my skin, and it was, you know what? It actually reminded me a little bit of the Stila Hide and Chic. The formulas are nothing like each other. Nothing like, this is a much more fluid, lightweight foundation here. But they would both have a similar effect on me where I would get shiny while wearing them. Absolutely, they didn't control my oil in any way. So I would get shiny while wearing these, but it would be a pretty shiny. Like I would look almost sweaty, but in a really appealing way. I don't know how else to explain that. I would not mind. These are favored summer foundations for me, even though you would think that I would want something more mattifying in the summertime, but I liked these because when you have oily skin in the summertime, you can go one of two ways. Either you can fight it with all the products you can manage to pile on your skin, but that just feels so suffocating. And especially in the summer when it's hot and you're sweating, not only does it just feel uncomfortable on your skin, but I just rarely won that battle. You know, like you could do everything you want to, but the oil always wins, was my experience at least. Or you could lean into it and wear something that even though you get shiny, it stays in place and you still look pretty even though you are, you know, have a glass-like finish on your skin. So that's why I like both of these foundations for this. Need to finish this one up. Let's talk a little bit more about the Stila Hide and Chic. This is actually my second bottle of this. I've described to you already why I liked it so much. Very lightweight on the skin, very long wearing. At the end of the day, again, I was very shiny, but it was all in place and it was somehow just a very pretty, flattering shiny. I don't know how to explain what kind of magic was in this. This is in the color light medium 3. It's a little bit light for me. I've already actually gone through a bottle of this. It was in a deeper shade. I can't remember exactly what shade it was, but it matched me a little bit better. Just really love this foundation, and I'm going to enjoy using this up as well. Another Dior foundation. This is the Dior Forever. It is in the shade 2.5N. This is just when I realized how much I loved the Backstage foundation, I was like, let me try something a little higher coverage, a little bit more glam. And this definitely is those things. It is higher coverage and more glam. And if it wasn't for the Natasha Denona, if it wasn't for my Natasha Denona foundation, I probably would have just used the heck out of this. But the Natasha Denona does what this does, but does it in a little bit more of a flattering way, because I do find that this can sometimes look a little heavy on me, especially in this area or where I have larger pores. It can look a little bit heavy after application. And so it is not something that I'm going to use it up, and I will enjoy using it up, but it is definitely not going to be a repurchase, because for this kind of money, I need it. I need it to not look at me, I need it to be less finicky in making sure it doesn't make me look like a cake face. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Sephora Best Skin Ever. This is in the shade 20N. This is a decent foundation. I don't know. I'm a little stumped when I look at this, because I know it's good. I know I like it. It just doesn't distinguish itself above any of the other foundations that are in the similar vein for me, which is, it is a medium to full coverage, so more of a natural skin-like to more matte finish, depending on what I wear it with. And it does its job. It does its job. Let's see. Which one of these do I like better? I don't know. I think I need to put these in a head-to-head to just figure out, because I kind of feel like they have a lot of similarities, these two foundations. I'm going to have to try that out. I'm going to set these aside. Getting a lot of ideas while I film this. Okay, here's another foundation that is also along the same vein of that higher coverage, a little bit more matte, very perfecting. It's the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. I don't think they make this anymore, but to be perfectly honest, this is a really good foundation. This is a really good foundation. I wore the heck out of this when I first bought it. It's in the shade 2.20 Neutral Olive. I picked it up at a TJ Maxx, and I liked it so much when I got it that I went out and got another one. So I have another one over on my vanity there that's still in its box, which was stupid. I have enough foundation. I don't need backups. But here we are. This is a really, really solid foundation. I kind of feel like the community slept on this one a little bit. If anything, I think the biggest drawback to this is the packaging, and I think that might be the reason why it didn't do better than it did. The packaging, this little pump, it's fine. It's fine if you're using this every day. If you set it aside, if you put it in your drawer and you bring it out a couple months later, it is so clogged up and dried out and nasty. Like the other day, I tried it on just to like kind of refresh my feelings about it. Really like it still, really do. And I don't mind having this place to mix, because I have to mix all of my foundation. So I actually really like this part, but this pump got so clogged. I had to go in there and dig dried out product out. Ugh. And then I had to pump a bunch out. It took a lot of pressure, and it wasted a fair amount of product just pushing out the parts that were clogged in this little nozzle. So that was a drawback, but the foundation itself, really solid product. Here's another one that I picked up at TJ Maxx. Actually, there's stickers still on there. I paid $5 for this. This is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation in the shade, where's the shade? Hello? Classic Tan M3. When is this a classic? Is it a tan? Are you serious? All right then. Well, I bought this one because I had heard, for years I've heard so many people just rave about this particular foundation and how wonderful it is. And I've only worn it a couple of times, but I gotta tell you, I don't get the hype. I don't get, it's okay. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about. I don't know. If this is your favorite foundation, tell me what I'm missing out on, because I don't know. It's all right. Here's another one. This is an Estee Lauder Future Hydra Rescue Moisturizing Makeup. This is actually a really nice makeup that I didn't use it for quite a while. It's because when I first started using it, I noticed that it was skipping over the deeper pores that I have here on the sides of my nose, just skipping right over them. So it kind of looked like someone had taken an ice pick and just stabbed holes in the side of my nose after putting this on. So I realized that I had to like put almost no product on my nose at all in order to avoid that effect. So what I have to do is I have to apply it all over my face, and then just with the very last bits of product that were left on the sponge or the brush, I just had to very lightly go over my nose. And if I got too much on there, then I'd have to get a wipe and I'd have to wipe it off and I'd have to try again. And ain't nobody got time for that. I certainly don't have time for that. It was so finicky. It went in the back of my drawer and I forgot about it until like a couple of weeks ago, and I took it back out, and just out of curiosity, I applied it again, and I applied it on my nose this time. It didn't do the thing. It didn't do it. So clearly the problem was my skin, not the product. This is a really, really pretty foundation. It feels very nourishing on the skin. It feels very comfortable. It doesn't control my oil in any way, obviously. So I definitely have to set this through the T-zone, but it's just a really, really pretty, lovely formulation. And I'm excited now that I've realized it's not going to do that thing on my nose for whatever reason. I have no idea why it was doing that before, but I'm excited to use this now, now that I have rediscovered it in my collection. Another Estee Lauder foundation that I like significantly less, and I'm sad about this one. At least I picked this up at Marshall's, and so it didn't cost me anywhere. I think it cost me about $20. Is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade 2C3. And I picked this up just because I know so many people who this is their holy grail. They've bought bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle. And just like the Flower Beauty, I've only worn it a couple times, so I need to wear it a little bit more to really formulate my opinions about this foundation and really, be sure I know what I'm talking about. But first impression, I don't get the hype. I'm not sure what's so exciting about this foundation. It looked a little heavy. It looked a little dry. I have, well, in the wintertime, it's not hugely unusual for me to look a little dry in certain areas because I do react to colder weather that way, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit more. Again, if this is your favorite foundation, tell me, what am I missing? What is the fuss about? I can't tell. All right, here's another foundation, the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. I think I picked this up for like half price on Ulta around the same time that I picked up this Naked Skin one, and they are very, very different foundations for sure. This one is a much more full coverage matte foundation, very long wearing. I have to be careful with this one so it doesn't start to look heavy or to gather in these little grooves around my nose. I also found it's very, very not water resistant. If I'm wearing this and I get watery eyes or I cry, it will leave tracks. It will absolutely leave tracks in my makeup, which is so unflattering. So I gotta be careful with this one because I'm a little bit of a crybaby, and make sure I'm like not going to any movies where I'm gonna get sad, or I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? So I like it. I like the effect on my skin. As long as I have a light hand, this is a good one for a damp sponge, to make sure that it doesn't get too heavy on my skin. And as long as I don't cry, it's really nice. So the Stay Naked, Urban Decay Stay Naked Weightless Foundation. This is very lightweight, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a high-end formulation to me. It feels very mediocre to me. Does Urban Decay even make this anymore? It's been a while. It's just been sitting in my drawer. I really need to use this one up. It's all right. It's all right. I have nothing really bad to say about it, but nothing really good to say about it either. Just a few more left. Here are two. These are so disappointing. Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. I have two colors. Why do I have two colors? LN3, MN, and MN3. I got this one Really liked it despite a particular flaw that I was hoping wouldn't be a big deal, but it kind of is. However, it was a little light for me, so then I got this one. Was chased through good money after bad is really what I did there, because this looks really pretty on the skin. This foundation, it really does. I really like how my skin looks while wearing the Healthy Skin foundation. The healthy foundation, not healthy skin, it's just the healthy foundation. I really like how it looks, but man, listen, the smell. That's the weirdest smell I've ever, gosh, like I've never smelled anything like this. Never. I don't know what to describe it as. I don't know but it is not a good one. It is not a pleasant smell. This isn't a smell that comes from age either. The smell's been there from day one. And when I bought this, I liked how it looked on my skin so much that I hoped I would be able to overlook the smell. But here's the genuine truth of it is I put on makeup for the experience. I love the experience of putting on and wearing makeup. I just really enjoy it. I'll put on makeup when I'm sick. I'll put on makeup when I'm not going anywhere. I will put on makeup when it's 11 o'clock at night. I just enjoy the process of putting on makeup. This makes me not enjoy it. The smell of this makes me not enjoy it, and so I just don't reach for it. So these two have been sitting in my drawer for way too long, and I haven't wanted to say goodbye because one, it's a really nice foundation, and two, because it's a lot of product. It's a lot of product that to be tossing. But to be honest, it's old enough now. I spent so much time dithering over it and being like, oh, I'll use it. No, I will not use it. I'm not going to use it. And it's old enough that I don't feel comfortable passing it on to somebody else. So these are just going to have to go in the bin. What a waste. What a waste. Such a huge regret there. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so lesson learned. I really do need my products to smell nice. The next one is one that is pretty recent. It's still in the box. I've actually used this once, but then I put it back in the box and stuck it in I have a bin where I put things that are still in the packaging. Because any backups that I have, etc. Because I have enough to work on right now. This is the Urban Decay Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I wore it once, I think, maybe twice, and I remember liking it. I bought it at the same time I bought the Catrice. It was when my skin was kind of having that freak out, and I was like, oh, I need some more hydrating products. Listen, actually, this is my first winter in a new climate, a much drier climate that I'm used to, and so when my skin first started having that freak out about the weather when it was getting colder, I was like, oh my gosh, do I have dry skin now? Is my skin dry now? You know, or I wondered, like, is it just age? I'm in my early 40s, so that kind of makes sense. But it just took my skin a little bit to acclimatize to the new environment. You know what I'm saying? So I liked it the couple times that I wore it. This is definitely going to be a winter. Well, that's not necessarily true because I do have a good number of other hydrating products that I like during the summertime. So I guess we'll see. We'll see. But I have plenty of foundation to work through already. Here is the Bobbi Brown Stick Foundation. This is one of those cream foundations that really does disappear into the skin. I tried it again this morning. It's been a while since I put this on my face, and it's because almost completely done with it there. You can see it broke off. That little bit that's left broke off. So I have to be really, really careful with this when applying it. But I really, really like it. It is definitely just very lightweight, very, very skin-like. Doesn't sit visibly on the skin. It's very weightless and traceless, similarly to the Fenty Stick Foundation, except for the Fenty is definitely more of a natural matte finish. This one has definitely more luminance to it. It doesn't, again, like the Fenty, it doesn't last a super long time on my skin, but it is pretty while it lasts. Here are two from AOA Studio. I have the Pro Wear Foundation and the Buildable Satin Foundation. This one is in pure beige. And this one, the sticker came off of it, so I have no idea what it is. One of the lighter ones, obviously. I actually haven't tried these. I was curious. I ordered them along with some other things I was getting from Shop Miss A, They came in, they've been sitting in my drawer for a while now, and I have not yet tried them. So definitely on the list for 2024 is to try those out and see how I feel about them. Last BB cream I have to show you is the Misha Perfect Cover BB cream. This one is empty. The pump stopped working, so I scooped out everything out of this and I put it in a little pot. I hate using things out of pots. I really honestly do. I don't like it. Give me a pump any day, unless it's a stick. I love sticks too, but I do want to finish this because this is a really lovely formulation. It's very similar to the Purito. I think I might like the Purito a smidge better. This one is just a little bit too hydrating for my skin, even in the wintertime. So I do find that I get shiny very quickly, even in the winter while wearing this, which more hydration, that could be a good thing for you depending on your skin type. Last but not least is my Salt New York Sneaky Balm Foundation. You can tell that I have loved this one. It's a pretty small pan of foundation, so it doesn't take a ton to pan this, but this is a really, really pretty product. This is their hydrating skin tint in N10, and I used the heck out of this when I first got it. It is one of those very, very skin-like, I don't know, I feel like it's named really well, the Sneaky Balm. Of all of my cream foundations, this is the one that looks the most invisible on my skin. And don't get me wrong, the Fenty and the Bobbi Brown really do look invisible on the skin, but this is super, super traceless on the skin. If you are in a situation where it's, life and death, that nobody knows you're wearing makeup, you will be safe with this foundation. It's really, really nice. It has a very light coverage. It's really, really nice for just spot concealing, basically. I don't even know if I would call it spot concealing, but just adding a little bit in the places where you maybe have a little bit of redness. It's not going to cover any blemishes or any hyperpigmentation or that sort of thing, but you can just apply this in the places where you need just a little bit of coverage and just leave it at that. You can apply it all over the face just to even things out. It's a really, really, really nice, lightweight, very, very skin-like hydrating formulation. Like the others that I have in my collection with the similar effect, it does not last a very long time on me, unfortunately. I think of all of my cream products, this one is probably the one that vanishes the quickest on me, but it is also the most sneakiest. And there's a time and a place for that. So I really enjoy this product. That is all 32 of my foundations. I hope that this was interesting to you, or I don't know, at least entertaining. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.